Do you find yourself setting really big, exciting goals only to absolutely drop the ball on the follow through? I want you to think the gym membership that you signed up for on January 1st that you're going to stop using by the beginning of February, or the treadmill that you bought that is now acting as a towel rack, or all of the times that you bought a bunch of fresh fruits and vegetables with the intention to change your entire diet and start eating healthy, only to order takeout several nights in a row and then forget about those vegetables until they're rotting in your fridge. Or the online course you signed up for and listened to for 12 minutes and then totally forgot about and never revisited. Or the adult coloring book you bought for stress relief that you colored in one page and then shoved it on a shelf and forgot about it forever. I think there's a lot of times that we can relate to setting a goal, setting an intention, wanting to fix something about our lives, upgrade something about ourselves, and then having a really hard time actually following through. It feels really exciting, it feels really motivating, it feels really amazing, like your life is going to be this perfect thing when you set that initial goal. And then before you know it, the whole thing feels like a failure. And you find yourself just beating yourself up for the fact that you couldn't follow through on the thing that you wanted to do. Well, I have some good news for you today. It's not you that sucks, but your approach just might. And I'm going to help you with it today. In this episode, we're going to go through 8 things that you're probably getting wrong when it comes to approaching your goals and how you can fix it to make the follow through a lot easier for you to actually do. You actually sticking to the goals that you set is not as hard as you're making it out to be. It just requires a little tweaking in your approach, okay? We're going to make this super simple.
Welcome to the Mindset Gym podcast, where we exercise your way of thinking to help unlock your hidden potential. I'm your host, Emily Irwin, a registered nurse and holistic nutritionist with a passion for all things health, fitness, and personal development. All right, let's get into it.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Mindset Gym podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're diving into the things that you're probably getting wrong in your approach to achieve your goals. Chances are your follow through and the plan that you have put into action, the way that you're showing up in order to achieve the goal, is the reason that you can't follow through. And it's the reason that it feels really, really hard for you to actually get to where you want to be. So I'm going to give you 8 things, 8 really common misconceptions that I've gotten wrong in the past, that I think a lot of us get wrong at some point or another, and the ways that we can tweak our approach a little bit so we can actually follow through on these goals. Because the new year just started, and I think there's probably a lot of us that have set a goal or an intention for ourselves for the coming year, and then December rolls around, and you're looking at your list, or you're reflecting on the resolutions you made last January, and you're realizing you didn't actually follow through on a lot of them, and so that same goal gets carried over to the following year. Well, this year we're actually going to check that goal off our lists, and I'm going to show you how. The first approach that you are probably getting wrong when it comes to achieving your goals is aiming for quality over quantity. In the beginning, I know the intention a lot of times can be to want to show up as our best selves, want our product or whatever it is that we're trying to do or accomplish to be the best version that it can be. But in the beginning, that's actually not the right approach. In the beginning, when you are just starting out, when you are just dipping your feet into something new, the goal is quantity over quality. We're not going for perfection here, we are just going for reps. You just want to put in as much time and as much practice as you possibly can, because that's how you improve. There's a common example that people talk about as it relates to this, where people were separated into 2 groups, and one group was tasked with making as many clay pots as they possibly can, and the other group was tasked with making the most beautiful, amazing clay pot that they possibly could. So the first group just got to work and started making tons and tons of clay pots. The goal was quantity. Just pump out as many as you possibly can. Whereas the second group spent all of their time trying to figure out how to make the perfect product. The goal for them was quality. And at the end of this experiment, the group that actually ended up making the better clay pot was not this group who spent all this time focusing on quality. It was the group who had put in so many more reps and so much more practice in making these pots, because every time that they made a new one, they got a little bit more practice, they found where things weren't working, they got to tweak and they got to try again. And their final product ended up being better for it. That is the approach I want you to take early on with whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. You're not trying to be perfect. You're just trying to get the reps in and you're just trying to get the practice. I heard a quote from Alex Hormozy once along these lines that I really loved, and he said, "Do so much volume that it would be unreasonable for you not to succeed." That's the approach I want you to take. Do so much, do so many reps, do so much volume that you not succeeding at this goal would be totally unreasonable. So let's talk about some examples of this. If your goal is to go to the gym and start working out, and you've bought a membership at the beginning of the year and you're motivated and you really want to get in shape, the goal is not for you to go there and do the perfect workout and follow the plan that you're seeing some influencer do. The goal right now is just for you to show up as many days as you possibly can. Just get there and do something. It doesn't need to look perfect. It doesn't need to look amazing. It doesn't need to be this hour-long routine. You're just putting in the reps. You just need to show up. You just need to be there. And if you keep going and you make the goal just going there and showing up as many times as possible and putting in as many reps as you can, you will get better. You will learn along the way, and it'll be a lot easier for you to keep showing up. It'll build that momentum that you need. So, quantity over quantity in the beginning. Stop aiming for perfection, just aim to put in the reps. The second thing that you're probably getting wrong in your approach is you're focusing on the destination and not the process. I think a lot of the times when we set goals, we think about the end product. We think about what the thing is that we want to achieve, where it is that we want to go, and we get really excited about that final project, about that final product and about that final destination. And we don't give a lot of thought to what the actual day-to-day grind is for you to get there. And so I want you to make the focus with your goal this time around, not falling in love with the final product or falling in love with the destination. I want you to instead focus on creating a process that you're really going to love, a process that you are really going to enjoy being in day to day. Because at the end of the day, if you don't like the process, if you don't like what the daily routine is to get you to your final goal, you're not going to do it and you're not going to get to that final goal. So whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, I want you to look at that final destination, look at that final product, and then start working backwards and actually figure out, what does my day-to-day routine need to look like? What are the small habits that I need to put into place in order to accomplish this thing? And how can I make it a process that I genuinely enjoy showing up and doing? The third thing that you're probably getting wrong, and this is a mistake I have made before, and it can make chasing your goals unbelievably frustrating, is expecting linear growth. And early on, when you are starting to do something new, it can feel like growth is linear because you're dipping your feet in the water for the first time, you're trying things out, and there is that kind of initial linear progression. You start to get a little bit better time after time, you get a little bit more familiar with what you're doing, and you have this misconception that this kind of linear growth is going to continue throughout the entire process. That is not how it works. That's not how it works with anything. You may have little periods where the growth is a little bit linear, but then you're going to have dips, or you're going to have periods where your progress goes backwards completely. And if you're not anticipating that, hitting those roadblocks and hitting those setbacks can be enough to make you throw in the towel completely, because it feels like you're on the wrong track and it feels like you have failed. And so the thought process kind of is, well, what's the point? Like, I'm not making progress. I'm not going in the direction that I want to. So fuck this. Like, this whole thing's too hard. And so I want you to start going into your goals with the mindset that it's not going to be linear. You're not going to make progress day after day. Every time you show up, it's not going to equal more growth in this straight line trajectory. That's just not the way it's going to work. Anticipate the setbacks, anticipate going backwards from time to time, so that when you do encounter those things, which you inevitably will, you're prepared. You're already in the mindset of, oh, this is just part of it. This is just part of me going on the journey to reach my goals. And it will be easier for you to stay on that path, because it's not going to feel like it's something wrong. It's going to feel like something you have prepared yourself for. Something I'm really trying to change my mindset around as it relates to this is seeing failure as part of the process and thinking of failure as kind of a necessary step in order for me to get to the final product where I do succeed. And so the way I like to think about this is that in order for me to get to this end goal, in order for me to accomplish this thing at the end of the road that I'm wanting to accomplish, there is a certain number of obstacles in the way that I have to overcome. So that think of this like a Super Mario game. You have to overcome a certain number of bad guys and bosses and things and obstacles on the map in order to finish the level. You finishing that level requires you to do all these hard things. It's not going to be you just walking down a straight line and suddenly you're there. So every failure that you encounter, every setback that you have, I want you to compare it to those bad guys in the video game. Compare it to those bosses that you have to fight. Those are the challenges that you have to overcome in order to get to the end of that level. And so that's how I've been trying to think about it, is every failure is technically a win. It's something I am stacking up in order to get to the final product, and it's something that I have to go through. The fourth thing that you're probably doing is you're being reactive instead of proactive. And so this kind of ties into the previous one where you need to expect setbacks on the road. You need to expect there to be hurdles that you have to overcome. And planning for them is going to make it much easier for you to manage them. What do I mean by being proactive instead of reactive? I want you to take your goal and break it down and think of what potential obstacles you might face along the way. So let's go back to our example of going to the gym and starting some sort of fitness regime for this coming year. What are some possible obstacles that you're going to face along the way? Maybe you have a really busy work day and it's going to be much harder for you to fit a workout into your routine. Maybe the weather's really bad and you can't drive to the gym and you're going to have to do something at home. Maybe you're going to feel really unmotivated one day and you're just fucking not going to want to go. Anticipate these hurdles, anticipate these hard things that are going to happen, and then start to formulate a plan. What are you going to do when your day is really busy? What are you going to do when you have to work out at home? What's going to be the bare minimum effort that you're going to accept when you're really not feeling motivated? And plan for these things so that when they come up, you have proactively planned for what you're going to do instead of just reacting to what's happening in the moment. Because when you're just reacting to what's happening in the moment, that's overwhelming. That's too much. It's too many decisions that you have to make all at once. And the default typically ends up being, I'm not going to do this at all. Again, back to our example, if you haven't planned for any of these setbacks and you have a really busy day or you can't get to the gym or you're just not feeling it, you don't have a backup plan. You don't have anything in place to manage this. So the default is probably going to be that you just don't work out at all. Something Mel Robbins once said is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And she talked about this in her and her husband's journey of doing this 75 hard challenge. And the fact that when you're doing the 75 hard challenge, you have to do 2 separate workouts during your day, every single day. One of them has to be outside. And she would talk about the fact that it was way harder for her to actually show up and do these workouts if she hadn't planned anything, if she hadn't planned how these things were going to fit into her day, if she was out of town for something work-related, if she was having a really busy day, if she hadn't figured out beforehand how she's going to make these habits work in the midst of what is going on, she didn't follow through on them. And so that is going to be your key to success. Plan for those roadblocks and be proactive in figuring out the solutions so that when you face them, you're not facing them unprepared. Number 5, you don't have systems in place to make it easy. You achieving your goals should not feel atrociously hard all the time. I want you to make an effort to reduce friction at all costs. Anything that is going to make it more difficult for you to achieve your goals, get rid of it and start putting systems in place to make this automatic, to make it easy for you to follow through. So again, we'll go back to our initial example of going to the gym. What are some things that you can do to create systems that will reduce friction and make it easier for you to follow through? You could set your workout clothes out the night before. You could keep your gym bag on the passenger seat of your car so it's always there, you're always prepared. You could set an alarm on your phone or schedule it into your planner on a regular basis. So when you're going through your day, it's already slotted in there. You already have scheduled it in the way that you schedule everything else. So you don't have to think about it. It's automatic. The goal here is for you to reduce as much decision making as possible, because we only have a set bandwidth for decision making throughout the day. And once we reach that limit, we reach decision fatigue, and doing anything beyond that, deciding anything beyond that, feels way harder. And so if you create a scenario where you have no systems in place and you're having to make a ton of decisions on the fly in order to accomplish this goal, eventually it's going to be too much, and you're just going to toss the entire thing because it's too much. It's too hard. It's too many decisions. You're not prepared. You don't know how you're going to show up. And so, fuck it. You're not going to show up at all. So, put systems in place. Another one you could do, as it relates to that gym example, is plan your workouts ahead of time. So what I do, I use an app that I've talked about before, and I have my workouts for all of the days that I'm going to be in the gym, all of the days that I'm strength training. I already have the workout in the app and scheduled, so when I go into the gym, I don't have to make decisions about what exercises I'm going to do, what workouts I'm going to do, none of it. There's no decision making happening. Literally all I do is I just open the app, click on the day, let's say it's Monday, I'll just click on my Monday's workout. I'll show you what this looks like. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see this. But there's literally no decision making happening. So when I go into the gym, all I do is just open the app and then just click on the day. So if it's Monday, you just click on Monday's workout. All the exercises are already there. All the sets are already there. Everything's laid out. I literally just have to follow the plan. So anything like that to reduce the amount of decision making. So I want that to be your goal. When you're trying to figure out what systems to put in place, the goal is to reduce decision making. Let's say you're trying to learn something new, or you're trying to take an online course, or you're trying to go back to school in some capacity. Schedule it into your day. Pick a consistent window of time that you know you're going to be able to commit to watching the YouTube video, or watching the online course, or working on assignments, whatever it is, and put it in your planner. Make it an automatic thing so that you don't have to make decisions about it. Put a designated space in your home where you're going to watch these videos or work on school assignments, and lay out everything that you need for it. Your notebooks, your pens, whatever you are going to need to make this easier, have it prepped and ready to go. Anything at all to eliminate decision making. The next one, you're quitting or pivoting too early. This is a common one that we all make, and it goes a little bit hand in hand with expecting linear growth, because when we're hit with a moment where growth is not linear, we think we're on the wrong track, and we think that our approach to what we're doing is wrong. And so instead of staying the course and figuring out how to keep going, typically what people do is they quit or they pivot to something completely different. That is not going to get you where you need to go, because these kinds of hurdles and setbacks you're going to face no matter what. So even if you pivot to something completely new, you're going to hit similar hurdles down the road anyways. And so if you keep pivoting every time you hit those hurdles, you're going to get nowhere. You're just going to make minimal progress on a million different things instead of actually getting to the end of what it is you're trying to accomplish. Again, this is something I heard, I think it was Layla Hormozi talked about this one, is failing in business because you're pivoting too early. And she talked about, one way that she liked to approach success in running her business was first figuring out what things are going to cause her to fail and then avoiding those things. And one of the things she had on the list that was going to make her fail was pivoting way too early and way too frequently instead of just trying to commit and stick to what it is she's trying to do. And she gave the example of a CEO of a company who, completely scraps their whole business plan and swaps to something else just because it's the trending thing of that time, even though it has nothing to do with their current business, and then starting something new, and never really figuring out how to overcome the challenges of the thing that they're in. And so they never get anywhere. So if you reach a moment along the path to achieving your goal where it feels like you're on the wrong path, it feels like you're doing things wrong, I want you to know that that's normal. I want you to know that is an expected part of the journey. It's gonna feel wrong. It's gonna feel unfamiliar. It's gonna feel uncomfortable. My challenge for you when you encounter those times is don't quit and don't pivot. You don't need to do something new. You don't need to throw in the towel. What you need to do is start working to figure out how you're going to overcome these obstacles on the path you're already on. Any of these obstacles are not an indication that you need to completely change course. It's an indication that you need to reevaluate how you're showing up and start making little tweaks. That's how you get better along the way. That is how you improve, because you're not going to be perfect coming into anything that you're trying to do. No matter what your goal is, you're not going to show up as a perfect version of yourself right away. The only way you're going to get better is by hitting these obstacles and then figuring out, okay, what do I need to put into place in order to overcome it? And then you do, and then you overcome it, and then you keep going, and then you hit another one. And each one, again, back to our video game example, every obstacle that you face is a chance for you to level up. Take the opportunity. Don't quit the game. Don't switch to an entirely new map just because this one feels hard. Figure out what you need to do to overcome the obstacles and level up the way that you're playing. The next one, you haven't clearly defined what success looks like. Sometimes when we set goals, they can be very vague. And the problem with that is that vague goals create vague effort. If you don't really know where your end destination is, it's very hard to know where to go. I want you to imagine for a second that you're going on a road trip and you have kind of a vague general idea of where you want to go, but you don't have an actual destination in mind. Where are you driving? Where are you going? What route are you planning out? Do you see how it's very difficult to actually figure those things out if you don't really know where you're going? You're just kind of aimlessly going in a general direction, hoping that the destination you're wanting is just going to pop up in front of you. That's not how it works. If you want to get somewhere, you got to get specific about what that somewhere is. Vague goals create vague effort. So whatever your goal is, let's say your goal is to get a raise at work. Instead of just making that a vague goal, how much more money do you want to make? Do you want to be in the same position that you're in, or do you want to change positions? Have you talked to your manager about what things you would need to do in order to be eligible for a raise? And if those things include getting additional education, what education are you going to get? Really break it down to the nitty-gritty and figure out specifically what your goal is and how do you know if you've hit it? What proof would need to be in place in order for you to say, yep, for sure, I've accomplished my goal. Again, let's say your goal is going to the gym. Just having a goal of getting in shape or going to the gym is a little bit vague. What gym are you going to? What time of day are you going? How long are you going for? Is there a certain amount of weight that you're trying to lose? And what weight do you need to be at in order to say, I have accomplished my goal? Figure out all the specifics, because when you know all the specifics, when you know for sure what that final destination looks like, it's so much easier to create a roadmap. It's so much easier for you to figure out what you need to do in order to get there. You're not just aimlessly going in that general direction, hoping that you'll accomplish what you're going to accomplish, because you won't. You need a specific destination and you need specific steps. And once you put that all into place, it's going to feel a lot easier because it eliminates all the ambiguity. You're not guessing. You know exactly what steps you need to take. The last one, you're procrastinating with preparation. And I think we all do this from time to time. We are scared to actually take the first step to start working towards the thing that we're trying to accomplish. And so instead of actually taking the first step, you spend all your time preparing in order to try and be this polished version of yourself to start the thing. And you never actually start the thing. So again, back to our fitness example. Someone who's procrastinating with preparation, instead of actually signing up for a gym membership and going to the gym and putting in the reps, the way that they may procrastinate with preparation is spending all their time researching the best gyms, or researching the best fitness gear, or researching the best workout plans, and just spending all of their time trying to research and prepare and be 100% ready, and then never actually taking any steps to move the needle. You're not actually doing anything that's going to get you closer to your goal. So some preparation is good, but don't make that the whole thing. Don't spend all of your time trying to be perfect and trying to be polished. You're not going to be. Be willing to show up messy, be willing to show up without knowing all the information, and figure it out along the way. You don't have to have it all sorted out ahead of time. I know taking that first step towards accomplishing any goal feels really scary, and it feels a lot safer to just prepare and try and be 100% ready, but you'll never be 100% ready. Take that first scary step and start slowly taking more and more steps to getting where you want to be. You'll figure out a lot more by taking that approach than you ever will by trying to prepare ahead of time. Okay? So those are the 8 things I want you to focus on. This time around, when you set your goals, make sure you have these things in place for your approach to actually accomplishing them. It's going to eliminate a lot of friction. It's going to eliminate a lot of guessing. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to actually show up. Okay? You are going to accomplish your goal this time around. This is not going to be another one of those things that you set in motion for the start of this year and then don't do it and it ends up back on the list for the following year. We're going to check that thing off your resolution list this year, okay? You've got this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you later this week.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you like the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, or share the show with a friend. Your support helps the show reach even more incredible people just like you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time at the Mindset Gym.